Magnificat is the Latin way to refer to the Song of Mary. And the reason, as this is the case in the Psalms too, the reason that we hear that word Magnificat is because the first line of the Song of Mary is, "My soul magnifies the Lord." The translation that we see here in the lectionary, though, is that my soul proclaims the glory of the Lord. My soul proclaims the glory of the Lord. And so for a couple thousand years, people have wondered, well, what does it mean to magnify the Lord? The universe is so big. God created all of it, and it was here 13 billion years before I was. How do we proclaim the glory of the Lord? How do we magnify the glory of the Lord when we're such little insignificant specks compared to his awesomeness? And so the answer is, I think in this translation today, is to understand your position in the universe compared to the Lord, our creator, and then to tell people about it. And so right when Rebecca was telling me that we needed more sound in our sermon this morning, I was just fixing to say, for Mary, who is a teenager in ancient Israel, to be told that she's going to expect child when she's not even married yet was really a shocking event. But the angel Gabriel says, you're going to have a child, you're going to name him Jesus, and everyone will consider him the Savior. And right after that, when you look at the Song of Mary this morning, she says, from here on, all generations will consider me blessed. So she gets a sense of where her duties and responsibilities are, the assignment that God has given her, and she accepts it and immediately recognizes what a big deal it is. Because from here on out, 2,000 years later, in a country she can't even imagine as a little girl from Israel, people are still talking about her at that moment where she took on that duty and responsibility. So when you proclaim the glory of the Lord, it's not just understanding your relationship with God, it's telling other people about it. And finding ways, for those of us here online and around the room, finding ways, even as we grow older, even as our situations change, we go from high school to college, we go to college out into the real world, we're in the real world for a while and then we retire, right? No matter what our situation is, looking for ways to proclaim the glory of the Lord. Let me give you a quick example based on the pictures that Jay just airdropped you and what we're going to look at here online together. So the other day, out in the world, I was standing in a parking lot with my phone and just observing the world. This week in Atlanta has been really terrible weather. We've had fog and rain, and it's been kind of tough, But I'm out there standing in the parking lot because Rebecca was at an appointment, and I was just, kind of hanging out while she was with me, or while she was in her appointment. The fog was really thick, but we were looking at the buildings in downtown Buckhead, and as the sun was rising, this is probably 8:30 in the morning, as the sun was rising, you could see the sun reflecting off this building. And as the sun rose, and as the fog cleared, the beauty of that image became even more clear. So if you'll start, Jay sent you out basically a 4-pack of pictures. Look at this bottom one. Right, and then folks, I did this in practice online. I want to see how it's going to work in real life. How do I go to my 4-pack? Okay, there's another example of what I was looking at. You can see other buildings that aren't quite enrobed in the fog. Everyone, we're on the one now with 2 light spots. And you can see this building, George Bird, this building should look familiar because it's right there at the intersection of Peachtree and Piedmont. And notice the little building next to it is glowing brightly, right? But as I stood there, the image became more clear and more glorious. Notice in this third image where the sun is shining brightly on this building at Peachtree and Piedmont, it really begins to glow like a star. That's an important part of the Christmas story, isn't it? The wise men were open to the glory of the Lord in the form of this star that they followed all the way across the world to go to Bethlehem. And then finally, the one that I wanted to share with y'all most of all, look at that. Isn't that something? That 4th image, it is like a star itself had landed right there in the middle of our town. Now, what does the sun rising through the fog on the side of a building have to do with God? Nothing. Unless you're open to understanding God's relationship with you and your relationship with him and how you can proclaim that relationship to others. See, to me, and to somebody who's a pure scientist, they'll say, yeah, that's a neat picture. It's just the sun going through the fog and the water molecules making it look like it's a glorious star. To me, I say, that's a great way to celebrate Magnificat Sunday and the third week in Advent, because that, to me, is like the Christmas star coming and reminding us that we are on this journey in Advent, this journey where we're heading to Christmas and the glory that we celebrate when God became man through his son, Jesus. So I wanted to share that with y'all because I thought, what a terrific Christmas image. It's like the Christmas star itself landed right here in the middle of our town. But having said that, that's not the only thing we celebrate here on the third Sunday of Advent. Advent is also known as Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete is based